The SEC Network's Peter Burns has got something to say about the Georgia Bulldogs. This is something Matt DeBerry wrote about over on Dog Post, and I'll read it, and we'll talk about it afterwards. Peter goes on to say, the Georgia Bulldogs are going down as one of the greatest college football teams we've ever seen. They will go undefeated the entire season, and they will not have an opponent get within single digits of them. Great on offense, great on defense, great on special teams. They will absolutely be better than last year's team. This team will not be touched all season long. He's talking about this team, the team that won the national championship, Georgia Bulldogs. You can get DAWGSTRUCTION right down below. During the regular season, no one, with the exception of Clemson, came within a score of Georgia. Frankly, that game should not have been as close as it was. Georgia should have won that something like 20-3. But anyway, pick up DAWGSTRUCTION. The link is down below. I think this is a little aggressive from Peter. I will say it does look like they're going to go undefeated in the regular season, the Dogs. The postseason is just a tougher monster to figure out. I don't know who they're going to play. Obviously, USC, Ohio State, Alabama, they're all scoring points. Clemson, they've not lost yet, I guess. Michigan has looked pretty solid. There's a lot of teams that are out there. Georgia does look like the best team. I will say that. I don't know. I'm not comfortable personally uh, advocating a narrative that is so decisive. I do not think they will lose in the regular season. No. But if I heard Peter correctly, I just listened to it a second ago. He said they'll go undefeated the entire season, and they will not have an opponent get within single digits of them. I don't know if that will happen. I'm not ready prepared to say that will happen. I don't know that that won't happen. I mean, I think we're at the point with this team, just with the way they played against Oregon is one thing. The way they played against South Carolina was backing that up and then some. It's like a juvenile song. Um, I I think Saturday showed that this team is completely ready to dominate every single week. That's easier said than done. And one thing that Chris Doring, who does I've always thought he does a really good job. I miss Gene Chizik and Chris Doring because I feel like they actually watch the games that are being played. But anyway, Chris Doring continues to beat the drum about Georgia going to Lexington, and he's right that is, I think, a game you got to really watch if you're Georgia. I think Tennessee looks better. Let's see what happens with the Gators. Florida's not a good team. Um, I don't think Georgia's losing that game. Now, Chris Doring has picked Georgia to lose that game. I think I can't remember, but he's talked about how difficult that game's going to be. I think he's correct on that front, but y'all, I don't know if Kentucky's going to be able to keep up with the way Georgia scores now. A season ago, that game against Kentucky, I mean, some of us knew that was going to be a real deal fight, and it was. Um, that was the week after Georgia Auburn. Kentucky came to town as the number 11 team in the country. It was the ninth time in 19 games that Georgia played against a ranked team in the top 11. And that was the first time Georgia came into the 21 season as the number one team in the country. So that was a really important moment in 2021. 6.369 million, so 6,369,000 people watched that game. That was almost a half a million people more than watched Texas, Oklahoma. So half a million people more watched Georgia, Kentucky last year than watched Texas, OU. So just keep that in mind. But you know, Kentucky has done a hell of a job, man. But my skepticism there is I just think Georgia's better, and I think that playing on the road does matter in this league. And Commonwealth is a tough place to play, no doubt about it. No doubt about it. Commonwealth is a tough place to play, but Georgia is better than Kentucky. I think Kentucky is probably the second best team in the East. If they're not, if they're the third best. South Carolina Missouri, Vanderbilt. These are not teams that are good right now. Florida, I do not think is. I mean, you cannot play the way Florida has at the start of this season with the game against South Florida. You know, it just they got a long way to go, and each game is its own thing, and that's the part about what Peter Burns is saying that's so tricky, kind of. To just be certain. I'm not certain of anything. I mean, the only reason I know my name is Dean is because it's on my birth certificate, which I have checked twice. I don't. I am skeptical of everything, man. When I get out of the bed in the morning, I double check to make sure the floor is there, just in case that the earth has caved in. Just in case we don't know. Um, but I don't think it's out of the question. I don't think it's out of the realm of possibility that Georgia wins the national championship this year. We talked about that in the summer. Um, I don't think it's out of the realm of possibility that Georgia goes undefeated the entire season. I think they will in the regular season, but some of this is hyperbole, from Peter, which is fine. He says the Georgia Bulldogs are going to go down as one of the greatest college football teams we've ever seen. They will go undefeated the entire season, and this is the part that's I don't know. It says they will not even have an opponent within single digits of them. Great on offense, great on defense, great on special teams. They will absolutely be better. Excuse me, said that was 6 times. They will absolutely be better than last year's team. This team will not be touched all season long. Look, it's hard not to feel that way after the first 3 weeks. Let's just be honest. It's tough not to feel that way. But you don't win the national championship in September. You certainly don't do it in the first 3 weeks. Now you can lose it in September. Texas A&M has, but you don't. I am not so certain that we can just get to that conclusion and that's where we're at. There are good enough teams. First of all, there are good enough teams out there to beat the Dogs. Ohio State, Alabama, Tennessee, I guess, Kentucky. But there are good enough teams out there to beat Georgia. I don't know that they will. But Ohio State can for sure. Michigan, Ohio State, Alabama. I don't know about Oklahoma. We're gonna have kind of a litmus test a little bit with this Kent State game coming this weekend. Speaking of which, when you're in Athens, our friends at Red Zone will be glad to see you come in. They are on Clayton Street. Go to the Arch. Everybody knows where the arches are. Go to the Arch. You go north or away from campus, up College Avenue, my home away from home when I was a child, and take a left at the first block past Mrs. Heary's. You'll see flags outside. You will not miss Red Zone. That's a place where it's the only place right now that you can get this magazine. There are, I believe, 12 left. That's it. So, with that said, okay, if you buy DAWGSTRUCTION at Red Zone, you get the magazine for free. There's plenty of articles in here for the 12 of you who will purchase it that you can't see anywhere else. This is not an online. This is not online at all. So if you want this at this stage commemorative thing, you better go get it. Obviously, you can pick up DAWGSTRUCTION there, and just that's just my products. They have a slew of things, y'all. If you're into Champion, they've got that. If you want the Nike sideline gear, they've got that. They have some very well shot images from the years gone by that are officially licensed. If you want that of UGA, of the stadium, of fans, of some of the players, they're all there. There's a slew of memorabilia. Scott and Mindy do a very good job. This is a locally owned place. These folks are, Athenites, so Athenians. I think it's Athenians. So go visit them this weekend. I'll be there briefly on Friday. But get there, before kickoff. and get all your needs. The next weekend that they're at, the next home game is going to be the Auburn weekend. I got a pretty big announcement coming for that soon. I got to nail a couple things down, but I got a big announcement for that. I think Peter Burns is on the right track. I'm not sure about the part. There are two things here that make me a little jumpy. One of the greatest teams we've ever seen, and will not even have an opponent within single digits. We've seen 3 in a row outstanding / generational teams in the SEC. 3 years in a row. 19 LSU, 20 Alabama, and 21 Georgia. We've seen the just sickness of talent on those teams, specifically Joe Burrow. I don't know if you can continue that trajectory as a league. It looks like this team could compete with last year's Georgia team. I would probably take Georgia's 21 team still. The running backs are better. The defense is probably better, but the 21 offense is probably better overall than the 20. The 22 offense is probably better overall than 21 offense. These are things we can discuss, but I'll tell you right now, all this talk is great, but if you don't have this moment at the end of the season, people are going to discount what this team accomplished. Now that's just the harsh truth. That's how it is. Not fair, but it's the truth.